Hello! In this video we will see how to estimate the expected value of the minimum of two random variables by using Excel. Sometimes we need to work with a variable that is the result of the minimum of two random variables. However, working with the minimum of two random variables may not be something easy to treat through an analytical way. For that reason, we could be interested in getting a numerical approximation for the main values of the resulting probability distribution. That could be the case of the expected value. To understand how Excel could help us on this task, let's take an example. We have a random variable x1 that follows a normal distribution with mean value 100 and standard deviation equal to 10. And we have a second random variable x2 that follows a uniform distribution with minimum value 60 and maximum value 120. In the remaining of the video, we will assume that we have already installed the analysis tool pack on our computer. If it's not the case, please check the link in the description of this video. So let's go to Excel to find an approximation for the expected value of the minimum between the variable x1 and x2. So in the column B, we will generate random numbers that follow the distribution of the variable x1. Now we will generate those numbers by using the analysis tool pack. So we go to data ribbon, and by the end of this ribbon, we will click on data analysis. In the list of statistical analysis that can be performed by Excel, we will choose random number generation, and then we click OK. Here the first step is to fulfill the number of variables that we are considering. In this case, it's just one, so we write the number 1. The second step is to write the number of random numbers that we would like to generate. Let's generate 1000 of them. The third step is to choose your probability distribution. In this case, it's a normal distribution. Once we have selected the normal distribution, we need to introduce the values of the mean and the standard deviation. In this case, the mean is 100 and the standard deviation is 10. Finally, we need to select where to place our data. So we will select output range, and then we will select the first cell where we want to locate our data. And we click OK. And now we have generated random numbers by following the distribution of the random variable x1. We could do something similar for the variable x2. We will use the column C for the random numbers generated by following the distribution of the random variable x2. And again, we need to go to data analysis and to select random number generation. We click OK. The first step is to introduce the number of variables. In this case, we have only one variable that corresponds to x2. Now the number of random numbers that we would like to generate. Let's generate again 1000 numbers. Then we need to select the distribution. In this case, we will use a uniform distribution. And we need to introduce the minimum and the maximum value. The minimum value in this case is 60 and the maximum value is 120. The final step is to select the cell where you want your data. Now we will select the cell C3. And we click OK. And now we have the random numbers generated by following the probability distribution of the variable x2. Now it's time to come back and to remember that we want to compute the minimum between the two variables. So in the column D, we will compute the minimum between the random numbers that we have generated for x1 and x2. So, for example, for the first observation that we have for x1 and x2, we'll compute the minimum. And we write it by using the function minimum of Excel. And then we copy-paste this formula for the whole set of observations. Since we are interested in estimating the expected value of this minimum, we can compute the average value in the cell E3. We obtain that the average of this new distribution, it means the distribution of the minimum between x1 and x2, is 85.96. I hope you have enjoyed this method that can be a useful tool to get a good approximation for really intricate computation.